I have had multiple friends showing interest in learning Arabic, either the alphabet or just improving their listening comprehension. And I thought it would be a good initiative to maybe provide a casual rundown of the alphabet, just so people can see it as a less intimidating thing, especially as non native Arabic speakers. I have a bachelor's in Arabic studies, and at my most studious, I scored low advanced in the ACTFL testing, which is a pretty standard metric for American students to test their Arabic skills. Apart from that, I am a native Spanish speaker. I like studying languages. And if I had to quantify how many languages I've learned in earnest to some degree, it's probably around 6. To talk a little bit about my own experience when I learned Arabic, the absolute first part of the experience was just learning the alphabet using Alif Ba, which is a pretty standard textbook to use in the United States. Afterwards, I graduated to using El Kitab, which is the second in the series by this author. Once I got to a point of fluency, reading, writing, speaking, I started using primary sources. For now, the breakdown of the video is that I will quickly give some info and tips on learning the alphabet and then go through each character. So the absolute biggest no is to over rely on Romanized Arabic. And the reason I say that is you will run into a wall in terms of your learning. It'll be harder to progress into more advanced either words or syntax. This is a good example of what are the limitations of over relying on Romanized versions of a language. How it's like Romanized, you would probably read it like ma sifatus shabi ambar. Whereas if you are just reading it from the original Arabic, you would probably read it more like ma shiftus sahabi min imbarih. Ma shiftus sahabi min imbarih. There's a lot of nuances that the English romanization doesn't get. And for you to be fluent in the romanization, you would basically have to study it as its own alphabet. So why not just learn the original one? Some letters cannot link to a later character. So let me write an example. So a piece of information that most of us know is that Arabic is a right to left language. But something that I learned early on in my schooling is that words are divided by a space just like in English, but there are some characters that don't link to the next. So for example, if you see this word, kutta, which means cat, all of the letters are linked to each other, whereas this word, indi, which means I have, this character cannot link to the one next to it, nor can this one link to the one next to it. I'll highlight which ones those are, and I'll put them over here for now. But that's just something you'll get with more practice. With regards to how to practice, I really recommend going one character at a time and just really making sure that before you get too ambitious with learning, you feel comfortable with the sounds and the alphabet. I'm going to attach a practice video that you can follow along. The best advice I would give as to how to learn characters easier is to literally just choose one character. So let me take the letter ba, for example, and just write them as many times as you can fit it onto the piece of paper you chose. Bonus points if you also sound out the letter. So you go ba, 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 ba. It's gonna feel very silly to say these things over and over, but that will probably be the most effective way for you to learn. So I would say once you feel more comfortable with the alphabet, I recommend checking out content for children and babies with regards to simple words and sentences, just so you start feeling more comfortable hearing numbers, colors, names. After that, I would probably suggest looking up some lists that's like 100 easiest Arabic words, or if your first language isn't English, look up like 100 Spanish words that come from Arabic, and then just learn the Arabic version. Once you feel more comfortable, you can start using the content you are probably already consuming to pick out words you see and hear a lot. Literally, whenever you see one straight line going up, it is elif. The letter we have after this is ba, ba. It's like the B in English. Afterwards, we have da, da. It's like a T in English. Then we have the. It's like the TH sound. After this, we have yim, yim. Yim is basically the J sound of the alphabet, but you will see some dialects, like for example, Egyptian Arabic, pronounce it more like a G, a G sound. The next letter we have is ha, ha. It's a very deep, like breathy H. I would say it's kind of the noise you make when you're trying to clear, if you're trying to fog up glass, you go, think of that kind of breath you make. The next letter is ha, ha, ha is kind of a trickier one, but for any Spanish speakers, if you've ever heard somebody say instead of carro, go cajo, it's kind of that sound. It reminds me a little bit of like, it's kind of like a raspy K sound, if I had to describe it. The next word is del, del. It's just like your standard D sound. The next word we have is del, del. The difference between del and tha, del, tha. This one has more of a, you have to stick out your tongue closer to your teeth. Tha, tha. It's more like how you would hear the TH sound in English. The, del, del. Ra, ra, just an R. Zay, zay. It's like a Z sound. Sin, sin. And that would be just your standard S sound. Shin, shin, SH sound. I'm gonna write both of them down right now. This one is sod, whereas this one is dod. This one, you might get confused between sod and sin because they're both S sounds, but just think that this letter comes deeper from your throat. Se, saw. This other letter is called dod, and it might look pretty similar at first to de, dod, del. If you put an A after this, it would be like de, but if you put an A after this, it would be do. These are also similar in terms of where you have to place your voice. So this one is called to, another T noise. This one, te, te, to. This is the. So the, the. Afterwards, here are two letters that are pretty unique. Ein, ein. And the second one is rein, rein. They're very similar. It has more of a GH rolling sound. It's kind of hard to put into words, but you will probably hear speakers say it a lot more softly. fe, which is like the F. And the letter after that, it's similar but with a long line instead of one dot. This one is called cough. Guttural Q, I would call it. Cough, cough. Sometimes when pronouncing it, it gets omitted or treated like a stop. Now this next letter is called kef. Cough, kef. Similar, but this is more of a K sound and it's more of an open sound, whereas this one is deeper in the throat. The next letter is lem. Lem. The letter L. Mim. Mim is the letter M in the alphabet. Nun. Nun. This is an N sound. The next letter is he, which is different from ha. He, ha. This is a lot softer and shorter, whereas this one, you really have to like bring it from lower in your vocal pipes or something. He, ha. He, ha. The next letter is wow. Wow. This is the W sound, but sometimes it stands for the U sound. This is the final letter. This one is called yeah. It's a Y sound, but similar to wow, it can also be a vowel sound. So it can be like E, like Pepsi. So for this part, I'm gonna keep it pretty simple and not go into all the nuances of accents, but I will show the difference between long and short vowels. So earlier on, I showed you guys these three long vowels. So elif, which can be an A, waw, which can be a U, and then ya, which can be an I. There are short versions of each of these letters. So this first one is called fatha, and it goes right above. It's a small diagonal line above the letter. There's dhamma, which is like a little wow on top of the letter. And then finally kasra, which is like the short version of I, and it goes beneath the letter. Now I'm going to show you guys what a long vowel versus a short vowel sounds like. The only real word here is probably beb, which means door. So let's start with this one. With the elif, it sounds like beb. But if you just do a fatha instead, it's bab. The second one with the waw would be pronounced like boob. But with the dhamma, it would sound more like boop. And then this last one, I would pronounce it like beeb. But with the short kasra underneath this letter, I would pronounce it like beep.